Got Ty Hudson on the line from Pig Trail Network. Please join him right there. Joins us on a regular basis to break down the Hogs. We appreciate him coming on here. No doubt about that. You mentioned no spring last year. So for the first-year head coach, this was ridiculous to try to deal with last year, considering any first-year head coach, unless you're Ryan Day taking over for Urban Meyer, 90-some% of the time, it's a situation where you're taking over a bad program. There's a reason you just got hired. The previous guy got fired because they were losing football games, and that was to the nth degree the case at Arkansas and going 0-16 in the SEC the two previous seasons. So on top of that responsibility of trying to turn over a roster, trying to change the culture, do all those things that we know, in last year's situation, trying to do that without having the opportunity to meet face to face, have a spring practice, trying to change terminology, culture, build relationships, do all those things that you're trying to do, across the board, and to do that absent of face to face contact for a long time until the summer. Sam Pittman was able to do that, and it looked like a completely, forget the 3-7 record that obviously the Auburn game could have been 4 easy. And there were some other opportunities there. They were such a improved football team that is Pittman talking at all just about the opportunity finally to have a real offseason with his team and to do all those things that you can't do in season because you're running around at 100 miles an hour, about teaching, instructing, the foundation of the fundamentals, all those things that they're able to cover now that they finally have a spring session.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell when you listen to him talk about it, he doesn't want to waste a second. And I think he's mentioned it before, that being a huge disadvantage. And obviously this is verbatim. This isn't anything that he said. I'm not quoting him, but you could tell just by listening to him talk about it over the last several weeks, or even dating back to last year, that, look, they were kind of pressed up against the wall and had obviously limited time. And you could make that argument with everybody, right? But like you mentioned, you're a new coaching staff. You took over. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It was a dumpster fire. I mean, the previous 3 years were awful. Recruiting took a turn for the worst. And I'll say this. I know I'm a fan of the Chad Morris was an awful head coach crowd. I get it. He was. The one thing I think he did do okay in was at least bringing talent here. I mean, after all, the guys that are balling out on both sides of the ball are his guys. It's just he couldn't coach worth it. Well, I'm not gonna say what the particular word I want to use there, but his ability to bring in like Jalen Catalon. I remember him bragging a lot about Catalon, bringing these guys, bringing the horses to the barn was impressive. And Pittman, still, though, I mean, you're talking about a program that doesn't have a great reputation. This isn't the Bobby Petrino era anymore. This is, it just is what it is. And he had to face that. He had to face the idea of, I've got a whole new staff around me, and now we've got to go recruit. Oh, wait, we can't because of this goofy dead period that extended. It seemed like it was going to be extended throughout all eternity. And that was a disadvantage, and not having spring camp and being limited and really having to keep an eye on just what the NCAA is telling you what you can and can't do as a program. That was always hovering over their heads. I know it was. So you could tell he doesn't want to waste a minute. He doesn't want to waste a second. He wants to utilize every moment they have together as a program to get better. And I agree with him. He said on, I think it was on Paul Feinbaum, where he said, I've got 20 guys. We have, I think they're tied for the most amount of returning starters in college football coming back. They have who they need right now. And I think everyone seems to me like, other than the guys that are in the transfer portal, and maybe there's more to come. I'm sure there will be. I mean, that's just how this thing works. We are in a new era of college football now. Free agency has hit college football, as it has all sport, NCAA sports, collegiate athletics. But I mean, again, you could tell that most of this team is bought in. It looks to me that way. What I've seen on both on television, watching the scrimmage at home, and being there, when the screens are shut off, and the stuff that you don't see on ESPN or SEC Network. I mean, the players coming and doing the hog call with the crowd and all that stuff that they've done through spring camp. I mean, you could tell just by looking at their faces, they're bought in and they're ready to go. And this staff, they've had some changes here and there, but this staff, I think, has done a great job of getting these guys bought in, and they're ready to go. I think they're ready to get fall camp here and get ready for the 2021 season.
Ty, you mentioned the name Bobby Petrino. So what goes through the average college football fan's mind is the image of him in front of a podium of microphones. Yes. Perfect depiction there. That's it.
Yeah.
I think people forget the consecutive top 10 finishes, going to major bowl games 2 consecutive years, because I think from the conversations I have with your standard college football fan that's maybe an SEC fan of another team or elsewhere, is that Arkansas is in the SEC West. Best they could hope for is Mississippi State, Ole Miss level, go 6-6, 7-5. That's pretty much what you can expect. That's all you can do. But Houston Nutt proved otherwise. Bobby Petrino proved otherwise. They won 10, 11 games 2 consecutive years and went to Cotton and Sugar Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it can be done there.
Yeah, it's
tough, but it can be done.
It's a gauntlet in the SEC, and I have my own opinion on Arkansas in the SEC, but I think it was Jack Crow who told Frank Broyles when Frank Broyles was talking about entering the SEC, he told him, we have a hard time, and this was Jack Crow talking to Frank Broyles. We have a hard time with one Texas. We're about to go into a conference that has like 2 or 3 Texases, and that is, I think, on a level that's true. Granted, when Texas is down, look, they're down. When they're up, they're capable of winning national titles. And the problem with the SEC is when Auburn's up, they're a playoff contender. It's been a while, I know, but they are. I mean, when they're at their height, they're a playoff contender. LSU at their height, they can win national championships. Alabama can win. We know what Alabama could do, right? Mississippi State is capable of 8, 9 wins a year. Ole Miss is, when they're playing on a level ground and they're not up to what Hugh Freeze did at that university, they're capable of doing really well, and so on and so forth. Arkansas and, of course, A&M, who I think might be a team to keep an eye on in 2021 just because of where, Jimbo Fisher has that program rocking and rolling. As much as I hate to say that, Mark, it kills me inside to say that, but Arkansas is a job where you can get to a point where Houston Nutt had you in the conversation, at least at the top of the West. Petrino had you there. Houston Nutt did win the West. He did beat Bama. He beat the blue bloods of this conference. Maybe not. Obviously, the win-loss totals aren't don't really favor Arkansas. Of course they don't. Arkansas they have everything going for them outside of geography. Mm-hmm. They're just in a state that doesn't produce enough talent. But guess what? Boosters, facilities, the money, the influence, they have it. I mean, my God, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys is a Arkansas alum. You've got Tyson, Walmart, JB Hunt. You've got major influences here in the state of Arkansas. You're the program in the state of Arkansas. Who gives a rat's rear about Arkansas State? I hate to say that. I've got friends that are family, in fact, that went to Arkansas State, UCA. You can say the same thing, but they're the premier school in this conference. And you see what they're doing in baseball. You see what they did in basketball this year. You see what they're doing across all sports, Mark. They're killing it. I mean, softball, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be surprised if they have a water polo team. I mean, everyone's ranked. It's capable of happening here. Football is just a little different. It is tougher. I admit that. It's a lot harder to build a program in football from the ground up like Pittman's being asked to do. Can he reach what Petrino let's just say what Houston Nutt was able to do? Houston Nutt's first year here, and I was in 8th grade.
I'm a little older than that. I was actually covering those games, so I was at those
trying
games.
To make you feel old, I promise. But his first year, maybe you recall, he wasn't expected to do what he did. I think people were saying, yeah, they'll make a bowl, and that's about it. And they went on and had a great year and did it again the second year. Something similar. I think a game less the following year, maybe 2. But
yep.
It can happen at Arkansas. It's capable. It may not be as constant as it is at other schools like LSU and Bama, but it can happen here. And we've seen it, like you mentioned, Houston Nutt and Petrino proved. And Brett Bielema had them trending in that direction, and all of a sudden the wheels fell off. And so, yeah, I think if they give Pittman time, I think he can get them there, or at least something close to it.
Always enjoy the conversation with Ty Hudson from Pig Trail Network. So jump on over there, check out his work and the rest of the staff there at Pig Trail Network, talking Arkansas football. Ty, we always get good feedback every time you're on here. People love having you on here, hearing the Arkansas football take and hearing you chop it up.
I apologize if I was a little rough or sounded rough today. I'm battling I don't know if it's a head cold or allergies or what, dealing with homeschool and trying to get all this stuff done. But Mark, when you said you wanted me on, I absolutely, I made room for it. I always enjoy coming on here.
You're a gamer. We appreciate it, Ty.
I appreciate that.
There's no doubt about that. And we will be tracking you down when all sorts of news starts to break, because I think it's going to be a more than active summer, more than usual with transfer portal. And again, less commits to date than usual. Therefore, once the dead period ends, there's going to be all sorts of student athletes that are ready and eager to announce their commitments.
It's yeah, kick the tires and light the fires. It's about to get crazy.